Factcheck TV.
Human trafficking is often thought of as people hidden in trunks, stowed away on boats, chained, and brought somewhere to work in the sex industry. Even though this does happen, a majority of victims are lured in by someone they know, a boyfriend, friend, and even family members. According to the National Institute for Justice in a report they released in September 2016, it shows that in 2010, they granted funding to the Urban Institute's Policy Center to show the size and structure of the underground commercial sex economy in 8 major U.S. cities. One of the 4 main things that they looked at was the size of the industry. The study estimates the size of the underground commercial sex economy in 8 major U.S. cities ranged anywhere from 39.9 million to 280 million in 2007. In 5 of these cities, they show a decrease from 2003 to 2007. The pimps and sex workers both cited some of the same reasons for becoming involved in the underground commercial sex economy was due to socioeconomics. Research and data is sketchy to know how many victims there are. The Polaris Project collected data from a victim hotline that they operate. They received a total of 30,918 calls, emails, or online tip reports nationwide from January 1st to December 31st, 2016. This year alone, Polaris Project's hotline has already received 15,599 reported tips. Factcheck TV will talk with April Scott, whose daughter, Alexis Scott, is believed to have been sex trafficked. Alexis was last seen on September 23rd at approximately 5 a.m. on the 100 block of West Richmond Avenue in Peoria, Illinois.
I just wanted to find out where my daughter is. I'm not pointing fingers.
That was April Scott's plea in September. Now, 2 months later, her 20-year-old daughter Alexis is still missing, and the Peoria Police Department is pouring resources into the case.
We've had people call in and give us information confidentially. We've produced search warrants for residences.
And despite those tips, there's still no sign of the young mother. And this case has caught the attention of many in the community.
I don't know this young lady. I don't know her family.
I just wanted to help. You know, nobody's reaching out and they needed help.
And volunteers say they're staying ambitious in searching high and low for this young lady.
We're going to be doing a lot of private searches, and we're going to do group searches, and hopefully we can find this young lady.
And more Central Illinoisans keep joining the search.
It's not about me. It's not about us. It's about finding Alexis.
Hi, thank you for tuning in to Factcheck TV. We will be interviewing April Allen to bring awareness to her daughter, Alexis Scott, who was last seen September 23rd at 5 a.m.
Alexis is 20 years old. She turned 20 May of this year. She has a son. He just turned 2 on July 19th of this year. She has a lot of friends. She's very friendly, very sociable, very happy child. I don't know, she's just an all-around happy person. She had a lot of friends, or has a lot of friends, I'm going to say. I don't want to say had, because we're going to say in positive and believe all is well.
Yes, definitely. So can you tell us a little bit about what happened leading up to the weeks and days before Alexis became missing, since she was last seen? Can you tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of background about what happened to her?
Well, I can start from what I do know as fact. She told me she wanted to go out of town in August to a Merriweather fight, which was in Vegas, I believe. And I was strongly against it. I didn't think that was a place for her because of the fast-paced life that is known to be in Las Vegas. And she went against my better judgment. I didn't find out till I got home that she had actually went. I thought she had made up her mind not to go. One of her friends who stayed the night that night, 25th to 26th, basically talked her into going. She went ahead and went. When I got home from work, she had already left for Chicago. They took a bus from Peoria to Chicago's airport. And sometime on the 26th, well, when I got home, I wasn't for sure she was gone, but I kind of had a feeling because her suitcases and that were gone. And then she had called me to tell me that she was getting ready to get on the flight. And we talked about that, and I was like, well, I thought we talked about you not going. And she's like, yeah, but I decided I'm going to go anyway. You know, I'm going to go have fun. I'm young. And at that point, there's really not a whole lot I could do about it. And so, yeah, she took a flight, and I asked her how was it paid for, and she told me don't worry about it. Because I knew it wasn't a cheap flight, because I had just the year before flown out to San Diego to attend my own graduation, and the tickets were, you know, very costly, you know, so I want to know how they got paid for, but I couldn't get that information at that time. I do know now, but I did not know then.
So once she arrived in Las Vegas, do you know exactly what happened when she got in Vegas, or who she was with when she got in Vegas?
Well, I know she was with the girl she had left Peoria with. I know that for a fact because she and I talked several times during the trip, and we had problems with her answering her phone while she was out there, and some guy was always answering the phone, and I was like, okay, I asked the guy who he was, and he was telling me I was calling the wrong number, and I'm like, no, I know this is my daughter's number. Where's my daughter? And I never got to talk to her during the time she was supposed to be in Vegas because some man was answering her phone. And so I ended up calling her friend who she flew out there with, and she's like, oh, she's just having fun. She's busy right now. Well, I'll have her call you back. But she never did call me back from her phone during that time. And so basically I was communicating with the friend who flew out with her and not my daughter through her own cell phone. And she was due back. They went out there that day. They were supposed to be back on the Monday, which would have been August 21st, and she didn't come back. Oh, I'm sorry, not August 21st. I beg your pardon. That would have been August 28th. She was due back in town.
Okay.
And her friend said that she had missed the flight, and she didn't know where she was, and she had talked to her on the phone, and she was in California, and I'm like, well, we're at in California. He's like, I don't know. I really don't know. And she was calling me Mom. She's like, Mom, I really don't know where she is. She's in California. She left us, and I don't know where she is, but I got to get back home to my own kids. And I said, so you're leaving without her? And she said, well, I got to. I got my own kids to take care of. And then on the 28th, I called the same friend and asked her, I tried to ask her. My intentions were to ask her if she made it back, but she never would answer her phone. So I could never get in touch with her until 3 weeks later after my daughter disappeared. Then she and I contacted each other. But for 3 weeks before she went disappeared, she didn't answer her phone.
So did Alexis ever contact you at all via text or social media while she was in Vegas?
She was posting pictures on her Facebook, and the answer is no, she did not till September the 1st. I heard from her on September the 1st after somebody had found her on a strip, beaten and naked in California, and they took her in and told me that she didn't have a way home and that she needed fare to get home. And they told me what she looked like as far as health-wise. They didn't tell me that she had got beaten. I didn't know she had got until she got home and I could see it myself.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
So when
so she traveled.
Yeah, I paid for her bus ticket back home, and that was one of the reasons why I had asked her not to go. Is because beginning of September or so is usually when property taxes are due here in Illinois, and I'm like, no, this is not a time. You know, we live on a budget, and the property taxes come first, and if something goes wrong, which usually does when she goes out of town, I won't have a way to get you back home. And she's like, no, just prior to her leaving. She's like, no, nothing's going to happen. Everything's taken care of. I'll be back. You don't have to worry about it. Everything's paid for. And I was like, no, this just don't sound right to me. And it ended up happening anyway. So I did muster up the money to get her back home. Actually, she had to take a Greyhound bus home because the flight, again, like I said, was expensive. And I was like, well, I don't have the money right now to put you on a plane. Had I not had to pay property taxes, I could have put you on a plane and you would have been here overnight. And it actually took her 48 hours to get home. So she didn't get home. There's a problem with her ID because her ID she had left here. Some kind of way she was able to board a plane in Chicago to go to Vegas with a paper ID. So I don't know how that happened, but I guess that's something, I don't know. Anyway, so I told her that in order to get on the plane that she would need an ID because that's just the way it is out there. And she's like, no, you could just get me a plane. I'm like, no, I don't have it. So anyway, I ended up paying for a Greyhound bus ticket back to Peoria. And I think she didn't actually board the bus until the 2nd of September. And she got home on September the 4th. I remember because we were outside watching the sun because it was changing colors and like having solar flares and all this crazy stuff was going on outside with the sun. And my son and I were outside at that time. So she ended up asking one of her friends to pick her up from Chicago, from Peoria. And just so happens those two same friends that worked together to get her from the bus station in Chicago back to Peoria are the same people that are affiliated with her missing now.
Okay.
And during this time that she was gone, who kept her son?
One of her best friends, and I did because she was gone longer. So it ended up being her best friend for the weekend, and then she ended up keeping him a little longer, and I would pick him up in the evenings to, give her a break from it. None of us thought she would be gone, the whole week, and it just turns out she had been gone way longer than had planned.
Now, when Alexis returned back home, did she ever go over or discuss with anybody what exactly happened for her to be beaten in Sacramento?
No. I asked her what happened. I was like, oh, my God, when I saw her, what happened to your face? And she said, I don't want to talk about it. And I said, well, I need to know what happened. And she's like, no, you don't. This is not something that you need to know about because all you ever do is call the police, and this is not about police and all that. And I'm like, well, it looks like it is to me. And she's like, well, we just won't talk about it. And then she kept complaining about being sore and stiff and that. So I told her she needed to take an Epsom salt bath, and she had to take a couple of those for like 2 or 3 days before the soreness in her body, where she was able to actually move and not be in pain. And she didn't seem as happy as she was, like making jokes and playful and laughing and stuff. She like seemed really, now that I look back, kind of dark, I guess is the way to put it. She wasn't herself. But I didn't connect the dots. At the time I just thought, well, okay, she's just in a mood because she didn't get back with her friend or, didn't come back at the same time. And I questioned what had happened and how she got separated from her friend, and she didn't want to talk about it. Then, after she came up missing, the story unraveled.
And go ahead and tell us about that.
Well, she went out on the weekend on the 22nd. Her and my son were still up. It was a Friday night, and I worked that week. And her son and I went to bed, well, at least to my room anyway, and I put him to sleep. I probably sat up on my phone for a little bit on Facebook or whatever, and I dozed off apparently sometime. And during the time that I was getting him to sleep or on Facebook, I don't know, my door was closed, she left, according to my son. And she had been on Snapchat and Facebook inboxing, and she decided she was going to leave. He says he was probably between 11:30 and 12 when she left, and she didn't come back. So Saturday morning, I'm looking for her because we had plans for the weekend to go get her iPhone fixed that she had gotten for her birthday. And I'm like, wow, this is weird that she wouldn't be here when we had plans, to go out to the mall. And I kind of looked over. I was like, okay, well, it's the weekend. Maybe she decided to stay a little longer, thinking maybe she went up to Canton or over to Springfield with her girlfriends because they always go places on the weekend. And didn't really think a whole lot about it. And then come Monday, I'm like, wow, she should have been here. She knows I got to go to work. And so that Sunday, I went ahead and called her girlfriend because she had been asking to keep him, the same one who kept her the prior time she had been gone. I was like, well, yeah, come on, because I don't know what's going on. I've been trying to get in touch with her, and I can't. And I don't want to take a chance on Monday morning, not being able to go in or calling in late, trying to find a sitter. So she and I hooked up, and she took him with her. And then Monday night came, and she still hadn't come. And I was like, wow, this is not right. So I thought, okay, well, let me give it to Tuesday. Maybe, she's in the process. And I'm calling her during this time trying to find her, but she's not answering her phone. Well, Wednesday came, I'm at work, so I called her to see if she'd been home and call her friends. And now I'm really starting to get worried. So I start getting in touch with her friends that I see that she talks to frequently on Facebook. And you can tell by the likes or whatever who they talk to often. And I didn't have her password to her inbox, so I couldn't check to see anything. And one of the friends, just happened to be a male, said that he had been with her Friday night. Him and another guy, Kevin Lamont, they had came and picked her up, and they went out to have a drink or smoke or whatever. And they dropped him back off, and Alexis went to a party not too far from the house, which was over on Richmond. And that was planned, but he wasn't invited. So he knew about it. And she texted or inboxed the person at the house who she was planning to meet to let them know she was on her way. And before she went there, apparently, according to Kevin Lamont, he brought her back home to change clothes to go to the party. And he dropped her off, but he wasn't sure which house it was, if it was 123 or 125 Richmond. Because of the lateness and they had been drinking, he wasn't really sure. He just knows exactly what street he dropped her off on and that it was across from the car wash. And he said there were a lot of people on both porches in the neighborhood, and he didn't see who she went to go meet. He just saw her get out of the car and knew there were a lot of people there and it looked like a party. And
okay, April, I have a question for you, because we thought that she had got a cab there to the party. So you're saying that
this is their story. All right, this is their story is what I was told. Now, once I heard this story, that's all I had because nobody had come forward about her being missing up until we did our first search, which was on October the 1st, which was I filed a police report on her missing on the 27th. The police went out to talk to Remy, and they did not go to the house where she went to the party at. And the police officer came back and told me that he was going to file a missing and in danger report that day. He seemed pretty shaken up when he came back. And I asked him how come he didn't go to the house, which was only like 2 blocks from where he went to meet the guy who told the story. And I never did get an answer. It's just like he just, in his face, you could tell something wasn't right. He was like real happy and cheerful when he first came over to talk to me about my missing daughter and get all the information. And then when he came back, it was different. So anyways, after we did our first search, the taxi cab driver got in touch with me. Well, she made a comment on the police department's page or whatever, saying that, no, this guy didn't take her to the party. I did. I know for a fact. I know her. And her name is Tanya. And I remember exactly what she had on because I told her it was getting chilly outside and she needed more clothes on. And she just laughed it off. And she says, I know for a fact, I take her places frequently. I'm who she calls when she wants to go somewhere so she can trust me. And she said it was between 4. She said it was between 4 and 5:30 that she took her over there, and Alexis told her that she wasn't going to stay long, for about an hour, and that she would call her back when she was ready to go because she wanted to get home to her son, which makes sense to me because she knew I had to work on Monday. So we have 2 different people saying that she got to a party one way. I have never seen the videos that the police removed from the car wash. I have not been allowed to see the videos, but the witnesses that they have brought in, I am told by them that the police allowed them to see the video of that night, or morning rather.
Okay, so she originally went out with friends, then came back home, and then got to the party that she was last seen at, either by a cab or by someone dropping her off. So which one do you believe? Which way do you think she got there? Or do you have a thought?
Well, in retrospect, I'm looking at both stories, and the cab driver story makes sense to me. The times I'm not really sure of. That's questionable. But when in retrospect, being that Kevin Lamont's story was that he brought her back home and she changed clothes, well, I have found no evidence Saturday when I got up that my daughter had been in the house at all. I mean, it didn't look like any clothes had been changed, any shoes had been changed, nothing. I can't remember what she had on that day. I'm tried, and I can't even think. But it definitely did look like she was changing clothes. And when she changes clothes quickly and she's going to go right back out the door, there's usually clothes laying out, like she went through a whole bunch of drawers or whatever and stuff hanging out and this and that. That I don't recall having to clean up after her. I would have known because I do it frequently when she does that, and we have conversations about that. So no, I don't see evidence that she ever came back. When I'm talking to my friends in the last few days, I'm wondering if she even went. I know people are saying that she was at the party, but now I'm kind of wondering, did she really go to the party? If she went, did she only stay for a few seconds and left with Kevin Lamont and she ended up going somewhere else? I don't know. But as the story stands, my own thoughts really don't matter right now. What matters is that the girls at the party, 3 of them for sure, have said that they saw her at the party. They left a couple times, came back to go get liquor or whatever, and she never left the party. She stayed there while they did the runs. I find that hard to believe because if they're her girlfriends, which they all were, they know each other from the life that they live, she would have went with them. She wouldn't have stayed behind. She's like, no, I'm going to stay here with all these guys. I'm going to, go with you guys and just take off and go with them and come back. But that's not the story I'm getting. I'm getting the story that she never left, that she stayed there every time they left the house. And then yeah.
So I'm sorry, April, but so are some of the girls that how many, she only went to Vegas with one other person.
But there were 5 people that went, 5 other girls that were recruited to go. They were supposed to go to a bachelor party and be escorts or just walk around and be eye candy and get paid. I don't know how much, but anyway, getting paid was part of it. And the guy who paid for the tickets paid for round-trip tickets and a place for them to stay once they got out there. Supposedly, the bachelor party was canceled, and what happened after that, nobody knows because the girl who went will not talk.
So are the girls that that say that they saw her at the party, were any of those girls the same girls that she went to Vegas with?
According to them, no.
Okay. So these are totally different friends.
Totally different friends, but they're all part of the same organization.
Okay. Okay.
So when Alexis spoke with you about going to Vegas, did she tell you what she was going to Vegas for, or just for the fight?
She just told me she was going for the Merriweather fight, and they had really good seats, and I think it was like in a box office or something where they could see everything real close. So that was what she told me. That's all she told me.
So when did you find out that they were going there to like a bachelor party?
I found out about that after I posted my comments to the person whose page I found out paid for the tickets. And he also had made a post that she robbed him supposedly and basically called her a thief on Facebook, and she had gotten away from him with some other guys supposedly and ran off to California, which doesn't sound like her. It more sounds like that maybe he set her up to do something to make money back, and she found out that she was being set up and she got away.
Okay.
Based on what I found out about him and what he does.
Okay.
And can you tell us a little bit about what this individual does?
He calls himself a music promoter. He also does like photography for girls. Dance. He has them. What is the word I want to say? Audition for dances to be background dancers in videos.
Now, has he since the situation with Alexis missing, has he in any type of way tried to assist with finding her or providing you with any information regarding what happened in Vegas, or has he's just been a non-participant?
He has basically told me, yes, he did pay for it. Yes, he did tell me that she took some money from him. He also told me, denies the fact that he sent feelers out to find her. Alexis, what triggered me to call is the fact that she was missing, okay? But then after I found out she was missing, one of her friends told me that she knew, my daughter, that he was looking for her. He had sent feelers out to find her by whatever means necessary. I guess he felt like his pride was jilted, or she owed him money, or whatever happened. He wanted revenge for it. And she talked to one of her guy friends, and she told him that she was very scared and didn't know what to do. I have the inbox snapshot of the conversation, and I asked her friends, both the one who she talked to and the one who sent it to me, why didn't anybody come forward and tell me so I could stop this from happening? And they didn't have an answer. And so when I posted it on my page, and then when I seen some comments that he made on his page about different things that he would do to people who went against him, loyalty or royalty or something, I made a comment, and we talked on the Facebook page, and all of a sudden he deleted everything and inboxed me everything except for things that he said. And he told me that he did not send feelers out to look for her, and he let it go after it happened, which I don't. Everything on his page tells me something different.
Now, do you know?
He also told me to call the FBI if I didn't believe him.
Really?
Yep. No, he's not helping anyway.
Now, is this is an individual that Alexis has been knowing because he's from the area, or do you know if she just recently met him?
It is my understanding from his own Facebook page that he met her recently. Is my understanding. It looks like on his page or her page, I can't remember which one, he told her that he would be her boyfriend for a week, and that was in July.
Yeah,
so
I saw that on her Facebook page, and I actually, when I looked at it, I thought to myself, this must have been their first interaction. It was almost like a playful interaction. And she made a comment back, and he was like, okay, well, we'll see if I'll prove it to you in the next week or two or something like that. Yeah.
That's what I got. I think at one point she may have modeled for him, probably back in February, March, maybe not him, but somebody that he works with at a modeling agency or producing studio or whatever on Prospect in Illinois. And I think he may have seen her, maybe not, maybe they didn't talk or anything at that time. Maybe it was just one of the people that he worked with, and he may have seen her, and so he didn't know who she was, or probably they didn't interact, because she did take some modeling pictures at the studio in the early spring of this year, or last year, I believe.
Now, just so we can allow for the viewers to understand, can you kind of give us just describe to us, Peoria, as far as, is it a big city? Is it the type of city where everybody knows everybody? Kind of give us draw us a picture of Peoria.
It's pretty average size population. I want to say it's under 2,400, but I can't be for sure. But in the area we live in, everybody pretty much knows each other because the high schools are not that far apart. They're sectioned off by zones, but everybody still pretty much knows each other. So it'd be really hard to say that she wouldn't know people who she was with at the party, because everybody pretty much is social here. No matter what race, everybody pretty much gets along. So it'd be hard pressed to say that she just vanished, like they're telling me that she just vanished. There's no way. There were 12 people who we know for sure are connected to this, and of the 12, no one can tell us anything about how she left, if she even left at all. And that doesn't include the taxi driver.
Right. Now, can you kind of bring us to the day when you went to the police station? What are the reactions, or what type of assistance are you getting from Peoria Police Department right now?
I wish I could really tell you. It took so long for them to get started, when we went on our first search, or we met up near the location of the house, is when we saw the house where she was at was being power washed. It was October the 1st, which I found it out of the ordinary that somebody would be power washing their house in October. That's usually something you do in the spring. I hadn't heard from any detectives or anybody from the police department since the day I filed the missing person report. During that time, a moving truck was seen in front of the house while the search team was out searching that area where she was last seen. And I basically just took notes of it, and so did the people in the search party. And when we commenced with the search party to leave to go to another area, because we got a phone call to go to another area of town to look, it was at that time I heard from Detective Rodgers for the very first time. And I told him what I saw. He apologized for taking so long getting started, told me that he had been off and that his sergeant at the time was Sergeant Wagner, had given him the police report, but he had been off. And the first time he saw the report was, according to him, October the 1st, even though I filed it on the 27th. And I told him where we were going and what we were doing that day, and he didn't come out to see or, meet anybody in the search team or meet me. Everything was done over the phone. And probably maybe 2 or 3 days after that, he wanted to meet me. And so I took a day off work to meet him. And just so happens I just went on to work. We talked for about like 5 minutes and he left. And during that 5 minutes, I asked him about the power washing on October the 1st. And he said that the city told the people at the address that they had to power wash their house or they would be fined. I said, well, that sounds pretty strange to me. I said, I've been living in my house for 20 years, and the city has never told me to power wash my house. And my house was yellow at the time. And because helicopters fly over and planes and all that, my house gets dusty. I do it I wash my house myself, because I personally don't want to see the dust, but the city has never told me to wash my house. And I said, don't you find that strange? And he said, no, not at all. And then during that time, I also mentioned to him about a post that was on the page of the person that invited her about a great need for a washer and dryer to be removed 3 to 4 hours after the party ended. That was supposed to be an all-night party. And I asked him if he found that to be strange, that someone would be requesting a washer and dryer to be removed after all-night party when they probably should all have been asleep. And he said, nope, not at all.
Okay.
And at that time, I didn't get it. I don't get him.
Yeah. So have they followed up with you? I mean, are they contacting you on a weekly basis or, letting you know if there are any leads? What are their thoughts on the situation? Are they treating her as like she just left on her own? Do they think that it was foul play involved? How are they approaching the investigation?
Well, initially I was told that she probably left on her own, and this came from Detective Rodgers, that maybe being a parent was too much for her and she just wanted to get away. And I said, well, no, because there would be no need, because I take care of the baby. There's no financial strain on her to do so. She gets her weekends off. She can leave during the week. I keep the baby. And she can just basically have a normal life because I never wanted her to shack up. I said, so no, I don't see it. I said, she's never been gone this long. She leaves, go out with her friends for the week or weekend or something like that. But she comes back. I said, she hasn't come back. I said, so this to me is not normal for her. And then later on, when I was telling about the washer and dryer, because I keep asking about this washer and dryer, I will not let that go. Because it could have been in the front, in the back. You just never know, what tools people have to, if you're trying to hide something, you're going to hide it. Or the moving truck that was there. Why would they need a moving truck if nobody moved in? And he kind of blows me off on that, thinking there's nothing to it. And he was saying that maybe there are more possible ways or things that could have happened at the time. And so when I asked about the video recording from the car wash, he has told me several times that he doesn't see her at the party. But according to the girls that were at the party, she was outside sitting on the front porch. But they don't see it on the video.
Okay. So
what is your idea about the washer and dryer?
What is my idea?
Yes.
Well, I believe, and it's just my personal thoughts, I believe everybody at the house was doing drugs. Coke, probably ecstasy, probably drinking. Well, we know drinking for sure because the girls bring it up. And I was told that one of the people in the house is on probation or some kind of paperwork and cannot smoke marijuana. And instead of smoking marijuana, smokes K2. And at the time I didn't know what it was. I had to look it up. What the heck is K2? Looked it up, and it's a synthetic form of marijuana. I believe if my daughter was getting high and drinking, and somebody passed her a joint or blunt or whatever it is they smoke now, I believe she may not have been paying attention. May not have even asked, what is this I'm smoking, and may have inadvertently tried something she always swore she would never try. And not know it, not thinking it was just like regular marijuana, and something may have happened. What that something may be, I don't know, because there's so many different things that could happen after smoking K2. One of them is not being yourself mentally. And I believe something may have happened where either she passed out from drinking too much, because I hear they were mixing Hennessy and Grey Goose and some other drinks together, like Boilermakers. And either she may have passed out from the drinking or from the K2 or something, and they may have had opportunity to move her from that location to a different location, or she, I hate to say it, my heart's racing, she may have passed out and they couldn't revive her, and the only way to get rid of her may have been the opportunity to use the washer and dryer. Okay. And being the washer and dryers are made, mostly washers are made different, and we don't know what kind of washer and dryer it was. It's really hard to say. You could have used the inside of a washer to conceal a body, or you could have took the back off a washer to conceal a body and taken everything out. And by her being so small, it would have been easy.
So let me ask you this, and I understand, and thank you so much. And I know this has to be hard for you, April, but say if I know, and my heart goes out to you and to your family. So if they did take her away from there, you feel it would be against her will, of course. Yeah. And there have been no hits on her phone, on her social sites, nothing. No one's heard from her since the 23rd. Okay.
No social media, no friend contacts, not even check on her son, which is totally unusual. Not to call me to say, hey, Mom, you're right, like she's done in the past. I was wrong. You knew more than I did. I'm sorry. Come get me. And that's usually her last line, come get me. And I'd say, where? I don't know where you are. She'd say, around the corner, up the street. And I'm like, nope, I need an address. I cannot just be out driving around looking for you. So she knows that that's my forte. I will not do that.
Right. So at this point, I think you've given us a lot of information. And so we want to bring awareness to Alexis's case. We want to, Tanya, do you have anything else that you want to know about or want to ask?
No, I do not. Thank you very much for responding to my message, first of all, and thank you for doing this interview.
It's very hard. I appreciate the opportunity, but it's taken a lot out of me to do this. It really does. Just to rehash it all, it just hurts so much.
I can only imagine. I mean, we have kids, and I have two boys. I have two young adults, and I can only imagine just not being able to hear from her, and that she has a 2-year-old child. It is out of character for her not to get in touch with you. So we will get the word out. We will put it on our channel. And at this point, Tanya, I'd love if anybody, when we air this interview, if anybody's seen or heard anything, please contact the Peoria Police Department. And Tanya, if you have those numbers, also we'd like to say that she is a part of NamUs, which is a site to try to locate people. And there are different organizations helping and assisting and trying to find out what happened to Alexis. So at this time, we'd like to tell you the numbers so that if you see or if you've heard anything, if you would just please reach out so that April and his family can find out what happened to Alexis. It is our prayer that perhaps she is, somewhere, and that she will be found, alive. But either way, we want to find out what happened to Alexis, for her family's sake and for her son's sake. And once again, thank you so much, April. Is there anything else that you would like to say, or anything else that you want the public to know?
I just want everyone to know I'm very thankful for the time and the opportunity to work with so many different people who actually care. There's so much community involvement here in Illinois and outside of Illinois. It's amazing. And all I can say is thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We will be posting the phone numbers in the subscription box for anyone who has any information about this case.